Hello friends, a very warm welcome to another session pertaining to CSAT examination. Today's topic is dice. If you have seen previous year question papers, you would find that in 2018 there was a set of 3 questions, and prior to that also there used to be at least one question which was based on dice. Now let us have a look at the basics and then understand the varieties, the types that exist as per the difficulty level of questions which were asked in CSAT examination. Now first of all, what is a dice? Now dice is a cube in which there are 6 faces, 8 corners and 12 edges. Now same parameters we talked about in the session for cubes and cuboids. Now this is how a dice would look. Now this is a dice with which we play Monopoly, Ludo, Snakes and Ladders, and so many other games. Now this dice, as you can see, is a cube which has 6 faces here. As you can see, top is opposite bottom, front is opposite back, and left face is opposite the right face. So we have 3 pairs of opposite faces: top, bottom, front, back, and left, right. Now 8 corners as they are visible to you, and each of these lines, as you can see here, are edges. So what is a corner? Corner is a point where 3 faces meet, or you can say 3 edges meet. Now you got to remember that when a dice is rolled, then at a time only 3 faces are visible and the other 3 faces are hidden, or they are not visible. As we are talking about the pair of opposite faces, at a time only one face out of the opposite faces will be visible. Now both the opposite faces cannot be visible at the same time. Now here, let's have a look at types of dice. We are talking about a standard dice. Now what is a standard dice? The very dice with which we play games like Ludo and all. Now on that, you find that numbers from 1 to 6 are inscripted. Now these numbers are arranged in a particular fashion or in a particular pattern. And that is, number 1 and number 6 are in opposite faces. Number 2 and number 5 are in opposite faces. And number 3 and 4 are in opposite faces. Now as you see, 1 plus 6 is 7, 2 plus 5 is 7, and 3 plus 4 also is 7. Now this is a standard dice. But kindly know that the questions are not based on standard dice. The directions in the questions read like this, that a dice has numbers from 1 to 6 written on it, and there will be 2 or 3 or 4 diagrams which will be given to you, which will show different positions of the dice, and each diagram shows 3 faces, a combination of 3 numbers. Then the question will be asked to you that which number is opposite to 3, or which number is written on the face opposite to the face in which number 3 is written. Now do you need those diagrams to figure out if at all it is a standard dice? Because we know that in a standard dice, 3 is opposite 4. If you are asked which number is opposite 2, in a standard dice, 2 is opposite 5. So hence, the questions cannot be formed because it is evident to everyone that 1 is opposite 6, 2 is opposite 5, and 3 is opposite 4. So hence, please know that questions are asked on non-standard dice. Now what is a non-standard dice, which is not a standard dice, in which there is at least one pair of these numbers which is not followed, or it becomes different in the non-standard dice. Now also, a non-standard dice is not about numbers alone. A non-standard dice could consist of letters written over it. Leave alone numbers. There could be some shapes, colors, or figures which could be made on a non-standard dice. Also kindly know that if numbers are written, it is not necessary that numbers from 1 to 6 will be written on a non-standard dice. It might consist of numbers like 29, 48, 67, 152, 698, 729, anything. So as to say, on a non-standard dice, the 6 faces would consist of any character. Now, could consist of number, letter, a shape, symbols like arrow mark or asterisk or at the rate or hash or star. Some pictures could be there on the non-standard dice. Shapes in that, any geometrical figure like circle, triangle, square or rectangle, any of the geometrical figures. Color, a dice could consist of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 colors also. Or let us say combination of these. There could be a dice which has the following legend for the 6 faces. One face consists of letter A. The second face consists of number 1. Third face consists of color red. Fourth face consists of a triangle. Fifth face consists of the symbol at the rate. And sixth face consists of the picture of a lion. So questions for sure are asked on non-standard dice. So kindly do not follow these combinations which are meant only for a standard dice. So as we discussed, at a time only 3 faces of a dice will be visible. The opposite faces cannot be seen together. Questions will always be based on non-standard dice. If numbers from 1 to 6 are written on a dice, it is not necessary that 1 will be opposite to 6 or 2 will be opposite to 5 or 3 will be opposite to 4 because it is not a standard dice, it is a non-standard dice. So number 1 could be opposite to any number. Number 1 could be opposite to 2. Number 3 could be opposite to 6. So there is no structure which is followed when it comes to a non-standard dice. You cannot predict the pattern in which the characters are filled in the 6 faces of a non-standard dice. Now the questions are based on the diagrams, situations or combinations of faces obtained on rolling a dice, maybe 1, 2, 3 or 4 times, as we will see in today's session. Now to solve such questions, 3 important rules can be used, which will be very, very helpful, which will reduce the time period, which will ensure that you will always reach to the correct answer within no time. Now let us take a case when a dice is rolled twice. First you have rolled the dice, you have thrown it on the table, then again you pick it up, and then again you roll the dice and throw it on the table. So on each occasion, you will see a combination of 3 numbers, if at all numbers are written on the dice, or combination of 3 letters, if letters are written on the dice, and so on. But for the 2 situations, 2 diagrams will be obtained exhibiting the 2 combinations of the 3 visible faces. Then based on the 3 rules, the pair of opposite faces can be found out because the questions in general are all about finding out the character on the opposite face. Now let's take some examples here. You see 2 dice here. Now let us say this is situation 1, this is situation 2 when you have rolled the dice. In the first situation you see a combination of 3 numbers 1, 2 and 3. This is visible to you. And in the second situation you see a combination of 3 numbers 1, 4 and 2. Now the question here is which number will be opposite to number 3? Now which number will be opposite to number 3? In this case, let's make an observation. Now you see that there are 2 numbers which are common in both these diagrams. Here as you can see 1 and 2, here also 1 and 2. So 1 and 2 are 2 characters or 2 numbers which can be seen in both the diagrams. Then the remaining number in this diagram is 3, the remaining number in this diagram is 4, and these third numbers or remaining numbers in these 2 diagrams will always be opposite to each other. So if 2 numbers are common or 2 characters are common, the third will always be opposite each other. So which number will be opposite to 3? Well, number 4 will be opposite to 3. From this, we observe rule 1. In the 2 diagrams, if 2 characters are common, as in this case 1 and 2 are common, then the remaining characters visible in the 2 diagrams will be opposite each other. And in short, how do you remember this? Or how would you memorize this? 2 common, third opposite. 2 common, third opposite. 2 common, third opposite. So what is rule 1? 2 common, third opposite. Obviously, 2 characters are common in both the diagrams. Then the third character in each of the diagram will be opposite. And you need not memorize such a long statement. Cut it short into 2 common, third opposite. Now let's take another example here. Now we already know this first rule, that is 2 common, third opposite. So we are taking Another example. So you see two situations of a dice, and this time letters are inscribed on this dice. Letters A, B and C. Letters D, A and C. Now once again, there are two letters which are common to each other, A and C. So in that case, the remaining letters on the two dice, that is letter B and letter D, will be opposite to each other. So if you are asked which letter will be opposite to B, you know that letter D will be opposite to B. So what is rule 1? Two common, third opposite. Now we move towards rule 2, and first let's make an observation through the example which is given here. You are again given two situations of a dice. In situation 1, on the left hand side, you find three numbers 2, 3 and 4. And in situation 2, you find three numbers 2, 5 and 6. Now, do you see any number which is common? Well, yes, one number is common, and that is 2. And in both the situations, number 2 is visible in the same face. Which face? It is visible in the top face. So, if one character is common and is visible in the same face of the two diagrams, then in that case, the corresponding faces will always be opposite to each other. Now, what do we mean by corresponding faces? That is similar nature of faces. So here, in the top face, you have the same number, that is 2. In that case, in both the diagrams, front will be opposite front, right will be opposite right. So that is what is meant by corresponding opposite. So if you are asked what number is opposite to 4 or what number is opposite to 3, what number is opposite to 4? 4 is in the right side or right face. So 6 is in the right face. So opposite to 4 is 6. And 3 here is in the front face. So 5 is also in the front face. So front will be opposite front. So opposite to 3 will be number 5. So rule 2 is that in two diagrams, if one character is common, only one character, in the previous rule, there were two characters which were common. Now, if one character is common and in the same face, this is very important, in the same face. What if they are not in the same face? Well, that we will discuss in rule 3. So if one character is common and is in the same face, then characters in corresponding faces, similar nature or similar kind of faces, will always be opposite each other. And how do you memorize this in short? One common, same face, corresponding, opposite. Now, if at all you are uncomfortable with the word corresponding and you are not able to relate to it, in that case, you can memorize it as one common, same face, similar faces will be opposite. So similar faces, opposite. So you can say that also. Now let's take up another example and register this rule 2 properly into our mind. Now we have two instances as they are in front of you. This time we have three letters. In each of the situation, you see A, B and C. Here also E, D and C. Now do you see a letter which is common? Very much. Which is that? That is letter C. Is letter C in the same face? Yes. It is in the right face in both the diagrams. So one letter is common and it is in the same face in both the diagrams. Hence, similar faces will be opposite to each other, or corresponding faces will be opposite to each other. Now this time C is in the right face, that is the common character is in the right face. So top will be opposite top, front will be opposite front. Now as right side is already occupied by the common character, we will omit that right side and the other two sides which are remaining are top and front. So top will be opposite top and front will be opposite front. So corresponding opposite. Now if at all you are asked which letter is opposite to A, well, this is A. In the top, it will be opposite to the character in top face here, that is E. That should be the answer. Now which letter will be opposite to B? Now B is given here in the front face, so it will be opposite to the letter in the front face in this diagram, and that is D. So this becomes so simple and time saving that you can score marks, increase your number of attempts and ensure accuracy. Now let us move on to rule 3. Now which were the first two rules? Rule 1, 2 common, third opposite. Rule 2, 1 common, same face, similar faces opposite or corresponding opposite. Now for rule 3, let us take an example here. These are the two situations of a dice. Now the left face has combination of 3 numbers 1, 2 and 3, and the right face has combination of 3 numbers 4, 3 and 5. Now do you see a number which is common here? Yes, that is number 3. But is it in the same face? See, in this diagram, number 3 is in the right place, and on the right side diagram, number 3 is in the front face. So one character is common, but it is in different face. Then how do we find the number which is opposite to the given number? Now let us say my question is, which number is opposite to number 1? Now there are certain steps that we need to follow. Be careful. The very first step is, go to the question first of all. Question is asking you which number is opposite to number 1. So whatever number is given to you or character is given to you in the question, we will go to that very diagram which consists of that character. Now, out of the two diagrams, the left hand side diagram consists of number 1, whose opposite number we need to find. Now you know that 3 is the common number, and you need to find out the number opposite to number 1. So from the common number, you will move towards the number which has been asked in the question, and you will find out which direction is this. This is a kind of a curve. So this direction is anti-clockwise direction. So in the other diagram on the right hand side, we will move in the anti-clockwise direction to get our answer as 5. So which number is opposite to 1? It is 5. Now similarly, if the question would have been which number is opposite to 2, what should we do? We will go to that diagram which has this number 2 written on it, and that is this diagram. Now this diagram has number 2 written in it. That is the number which is mentioned in the question. So from the common number, go towards this number 2 which is asked in the question and determine the direction of this rotation. That is, if you want to bring the common number at the place of number 2, then you will have to move this clock in clockwise direction. So hence, go in the same direction. That is clockwise direction. You have to determine this direction to get your answer as 4. So which number is opposite to 2? It is 4. So now we can see that 1 is opposite 5 and 2 is opposite 4. So opposite to 1 is 5 and opposite to 2 is 4. Now let us know the steps here. In two diagrams, if only one character is common but is in different phases, then in that case, step 1, go to that diagram which contains the character whose opposite needs to be found. Then step 2, now find out in which direction is this character from the common character, in clockwise direction or in anti-clockwise direction. Now in step 3, go to the other diagram, trace the same direction. If you found that the number asked in the question was in the clockwise direction from the common number, then in the other diagram from the common number, you go in that clockwise direction only, in the same direction. So trace the same direction from the common character to get the answer. The character in question should not be visible in the second diagram. Obviously, if you need to find out the number which is opposite to 2, and if number 2 is visible in both the diagrams, then the number opposite to 2 will not be visible in either of these two diagrams. In one diagram, number 2 will be visible. In the other diagram, number 2 will not be visible. The number opposite to number 2 will be visible. And then only we will be able to find our answer. So let's solve another question here. Now in these two situations, do you see anything which is common? Is there any character which is common? Yes, there is. And which one is that? Well, it is C. And it is only one character which is common, but it is in different faces. Here it is in the right face in this diagram, and here it is in the top face. Now the questions asked are, which letter is opposite to B? Which letter is opposite to A? So let us solve them turn by turn. So the question is asking you which letter is opposite to letter B. Now, in which diagram do you find letter B? Well, this is a diagram in which letter B is written, that is in the left hand side diagram. So first we will approach this diagram, and from the common character C, we will trace a curve to find out that if at all we want to place the common character in place of B, then in which direction should we move this dice? Simple as that. From C to B, which direction is followed or which movement can be traced? Well, this is clockwise movement. So in the other diagram also, from C, we will move in the clockwise direction to find E as the answer. So opposite to B shall be letter E. And if at all you are asked which letter is opposite to A, then we will again go to that diagram which consists of letter A, and that is this diagram on the left hand side. And then from the common character, we will see what is the movement of the top face from the right face, or in which direction is top face from the right face. So in which direction is letter A given to you in the question from the common letter C? Well, it is in the anti-clockwise direction. So we will trace the same anti-clockwise direction from the common character C to get our answer here as D. So A is opposite D. That should be the answer. So once again, please revise the steps. The case is that if in two diagrams, there is only one character which is common, but it is in different faces, then in that case, step 1 should be go to that diagram which contains the character whose opposite needs to be found. That is the letter or number which has been asked in the question, for which you need to find out the opposite letter or opposite number. Step 2, find out in which direction is this character which was asked in question from the common character. Which direction or movement, that is clockwise or anti-clockwise. And finally, in the other diagram, once you have found out that movement from the common character to the question character, then follow the same movement from the common character in the other diagram to find out the answer character. So trace the same direction from the common character to get the answer. And obviously, the number or character whose opposite character you need to find out should not be visible in both the diagrams. It should be visible only in one diagram. Let us solve some questions now, as now we know the 3 rules, and let us apply them and find out how we can solve these questions really fast. Now, which number is opposite to 4? Now, because 3 situations are given and our rules are devised for 2 situations, out of the 3 situations which are given here, we will choose only those 2 diagrams or situations which will enable us to reach to the correct answer. So first situation that we will choose, or first diagram that we will choose, should be the one which contains the number which has been asked in the question, or which has been mentioned in the question, that is number 4, because we need to find out the number which is opposite to 4. So this anyhow we are choosing. This diagram we are choosing. Now, apply rule 1, 2, 3, one by one. Now, what does rule 1 say? 2 common, third opposite. Now, apart from 4, you have numbers 5 and 6. Is there a diagram which consists of both these numbers 5 and 6? No. This diagram has 1, 2, 3. This diagram has 2, 6, 1. No. So, rule 1 will not be applicable. When will rule 1 be applicable? Only if another diagram would have consisted of number 5 and 6. In that case, both have 2 common. So, third would have been opposite to each other. So, let us now apply rule 2. Apart from 4, the other 2 numbers given to you in this diagram are 5 and 6. So, 5 is in the top. Is there any other diagram which has 5 in the top? No. 6 is on the right hand side. Is there any other diagram which has 6 on the right hand side? No. So, we can't apply rule 2. It says 1 common, same face, then corresponding will be opposite. Now, let us apply rule 3. Do you see any character which is common between The first two diagrams, well, it has 1, 2, 3, this has 4, 5, 6, nothing is common. So in actual, we do not require the first diagram because there should be at least one character which has to be common. So we will consider these two diagrams, the second and third. And when we compare second and third diagram, we find that there is a number which is common. And which one is that? 6. But is it in the same face? No. Here it is in the right face and here it is in the top face. So what is rule 3? One common, different faces. Then first we will go to that diagram which consists of the number given in the question, that is 4. From the common character, we see or observe the movement from 6 to 4. It is in the clockwise direction. Now in the other diagram, we will move in the same clockwise direction to get 1 as the answer. So when we move in the clockwise direction, from top we reach to right hand side, and the right hand side is consisting of number 1. So hence it is number 1 which is opposite to number 4. Choice D here is the correct answer. Now for the given 4 situations of a dice, which number is opposite to 2? So first choose that diagram which consists of the number contained in the question. Now the question is about 2 and 2 is given to us, let us say, in this first diagram on the left hand side. Now along with 2, you have 2 more numbers, that is 3 and 5. Try to apply the first rule. Is there any other diagram which has both 3 and 5? No. So rule 1 cannot be applied. Try to apply rule 2. Is 3 given in any diagram in the front face? No. Is 5 given in any diagram in the right face? Here in the right? Yes, here also in the right face. So second rule can be applied here just by using the first 2 diagrams which says one common, same face, corresponding opposite. So what will be opposite to 2? It will be number 6. So we could solve this question only with the help of first 2 diagrams. Well then, we can also solve this question using the last 2 diagrams, third and fourth. That is, you go to this diagram. It consists of this number 2. This is along with 1 and 3, and when you compare with this diagram, you find that 1 is present in the front face in both the diagrams. So 1 common, same face, which means corresponding will be opposite, top will be opposite top, so 2 will be opposite 6. Either ways, your answer here becomes 6, which is given to us in choice D. That is the correct answer. Now, which number is opposite to 6? 6 is present here in this diagram. So we will choose this diagram. Now 6 is given along with 3 and 2. Is there any other diagram which has both 3 and 2? Yes, this is a diagram which has both 3 and 2. This is another diagram which has both 3 and 2. So either ways, if I consider this first and the third diagram, 3 and 2, 3 and 2, 2 common, third opposite. 2 common, third opposite. Here also the same story, 2 common, third opposite. Just by making use of rule 1, we can solve this question. So opposite to 6 is number 1 given to us in choice B. That is the correct answer. Now which number is opposite to number 1? Now this is 1. This is also 1. So we can't choose both these diagrams. We can choose only one of them. Well, let us choose diagram 2 and 3. That would suffice. And why so? Because apart from number 1, the other 2 numbers visible in this diagram are 2 and 5. Now in this diagram also, the other 2 numbers mentioned are 2 and 5. So 2 common, third opposite. So 1 is going to be opposite 6. Now you can also solve this question using the first and the last diagram. The first diagram consists of 3 and 2. The last diagram also consists of 3 and 2. So once again, 1 will be opposite 6, which is given to us in choice D. That becomes the correct answer. Now, which number is opposite to 4? Choose a diagram which consists of number 4. Here we are. That is in third diagram. Along with 4, you find that there are 2 more numbers which are visible. Which are those? 6 and 5. Is there any other diagram which consists of these two numbers 6 and 5? Yes, this one, second diagram. Hence, 2 common, third opposite. Rule 1 is applied. So by rule 1, and what was that? 2 common, third opposite. So 1 will be opposite to 4. Now you could have also used first and fourth diagram. Now how is it so? You find that number 4 is given in the fourth diagram. And then number 2 is common to first and fourth diagram. Which means 1 common and in same face, that is in the top face. Then by rule 2, corresponding will always be opposite. Corresponding faces will be opposite. So 4 which is on the right side will be opposite 1 which is on the right side here. So using either of these two methods, you should get choice A as the correct answer. Now, which letter is opposite to G? So first of all, choose a diagram which consists of letter G. This third diagram we are taking, which consists of letter G. Now, letter G is given to you along with R and B. Is there any other diagram which has both R and B? No, both R and B are not there in any diagram. Then can I choose this diagram? No, I can't. Why? Because this diagram also consists of G. If both the diagrams consist of letter G, then how will be the letter which is opposite to letter G will be visible to us? So the character which is mentioned in the question should not be visible in both the faces. It should be visible in only one face. And for that reason, let us choose the second and third diagram. So when we look at second and third diagram, we have to find out the common character. Which is the common character? The common character is R. But is it in the same face? In this diagram, it is in the right face. In this diagram, it is in the front face. So what will we do? From the common character, we will find out the direction in which the question character is written. So it is written in the top face. So from front to top, this direction here is clockwise. And in the other diagram, we will go in the same clockwise direction to get O as the answer. Now we could have also used first and fourth diagram. How? Well, fourth diagram consists of letter G, that is the question character, along with I and B. And first diagram consists of I, O and V, in which letter I is in the top face. So here you can apply rule 2, that is 1 common and is in the same face. Then this implies that corresponding faces will always be opposite each other. So G here is in the front face. So opposite to that will be O in the front face. So either by applying rule 2 to first and fourth diagram or by applying rule 3 to the second and third diagram, we can get the answer, that is opposite to G is O, which is given to us in choice D. Open dice. Now, how does an open dice look like? Well, just imagine that a dice is a kind of a box or a parcel. When you open it like this, well, this is how it appears, as on the right hand side. Now, I'll just take it here. It will form this T or a cross, let us say, where if this is top, this is bottom, this is front, then this is back, this is left, then this is right. Now, you can arrange these sides any ways that you want. It's not necessary that top here has to be in the middle. Not at all. This could have been the bottom side also or front also. It doesn't matter. But what matters here is for you to notice that front is opposite back, top is opposite bottom, and left is opposite right. And that happens when we skip one square either in a row or in a column. See, when we went from front to back, we skipped top in between this square. So in alternate squares only you will find opposite faces. Now, using the same principle, let us know which faces are going to be opposite each other. Here 1 is going to be opposite 3, alternate. 5 is going to be opposite 6 and 2 here will be opposite 4. Now similarly, B is going to be opposite D in this column. C is going to be opposite E, alternate squares, and left over A here will be opposite F. Now similarly, ampersand will be opposite hash, dollar will be opposite at the rate, and the remaining less than symbol will be opposite the greater than symbol. That is what is remaining here. So this is what we have everywhere. This is for you to check. These are the pairs of opposite faces. Now, in what way a question can be posed on an open dice? Now, this is how a question can be framed. Given on the left is an open dice. So this is the open dice. Which of the following figures will be formed on folding it? So let me just mark this as choice A. This is choice B. This is choice C. And this is choice D. Now here we will work on a simple fundamental, that is opposite faces cannot be seen together. Now here we know that 1 is opposite 3. 1 and 3 are opposite each other. Whereas in this diagram, A, 1 and 3 can be seen together. That is incorrect. So we can't have choice A here as the answer. Now we know that 5 and 6 are opposite each other. Whereas in this diagram, B, 5 and 6 are seen together. Both cannot be visible at the same time. See, if 5 and 6 are opposite each other and 5 is in the front face, then 6 has to be in the back face. Now that is what is important. Whereas 6 here is adjacent to 5. Now this is where this diagram has gone wrong. So choice B here cannot be the answer. So similarly, 2 and 4, they are opposite each other. Whereas in this diagram C, 2 and 4 can be seen together. That's not possible. If 2 is in the top, then 4 should have been in the bottom face, not in the front face. So C goes for a toss. Hence, choice D must be the correct answer, because by elimination process, we have eliminated choice A, B and C. And as it is, it shows a combination of 3 numbers, 3, 6 and 2. And 3, 6 and 2, in this diagram, they are meeting at this corner. See, phase 2, phase 6 and phase 3. They are meeting at this corner. So they are neighbors. They are adjacent to each other. None of them is opposite the other. So hence, choice D we found as the answer by eliminating the other 3 choices. Now in the given open dice, which number is opposite to 1? Now this is where we have 1. Now one thing for sure, that 5 is opposite 4. So number 1 could be opposite to, let us say, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now as 5 and 4 are opposite each other, none of them could be opposite 1 because they are opposite each other. Also 1 and 2, they share a common edge, which means that 1 and 2 are adjacent to each other. Hence 2 cannot be opposite 1. So opposite 1 is either 3 or 6. Then let us find out which number is opposite 2. Well, it could be 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just now we found out 4 and 5 are opposite each other, so they cannot be opposite 2. Now 1 is adjacent to 2, so 1 cannot be opposite to 2. Now also 2 and 3, they share a common corner. They are meeting at a corner, means only the faces which are adjacent to each other, they meet at a corner. So that means 2 cannot be opposite 3. So clearly means that 2 is opposite 6. We already know that 4 is opposite 5, as is visible here. So hence remaining 1 must be opposite 3, which is given to us in choice A. Now this is one of the ways in which you can find out the answer. The other one is you could have rearranged this diagram somewhat like this. This is 5, this is 2, this is 4, this is 1, this is 3 and this is 6. So that 2 and 6 are opposite, 5 and 4 are opposite, 1 and 3 are opposite. This would be one of the easiest ways and the fastest one too. But if we change the shape a bit, it would become confusing. So better you adopt this particular method to ensure that you do not commit an error. Now given below are 3 different situations of a cube on which numbers are written from 1 to 6. It's already declared that numbers are written from 1 to 6. Do not assume that it is a standard dice. Now from the figures given among the options, alright, here we go. Which figure will be formed on opening the cube? Now, there was a question in which we had to fold the open dice and then find out which figure of the dice would be formed. Now, this is just the opposite. We are given some figures of a dice and we have to find out that if we open that dice, then out of the given choices, which figure will be formed. So let me name these choices as A, B, C and D. Now when we look at the first and the second diagram, we find that 3 and 5 are common. So by rule 1, 2 will be opposite 1. So by rule 1, 2 will be opposite number 1. So it means that 2 and 1 cannot be adjacent when you open the dice. They should be in alternate squares. So just by using the first rule, we found out that 2 is opposite 1 and we have not even looked at the third diagram. So try and use this relationship between 2 and 1, that is, they're opposite each other, which would mean that 2 and 1, when we open the dice, 2 and 1 should be in the alternate squares, not in the adjacent squares. So when we visit choice A, 2 and 1 are found adjacent to each other. So hence choice A cannot be the answer. In choice B, 2 and 1 are meeting at a corner, which means that they are neighbors, they are adjacent, they cannot be opposite. So because of this, choice B cannot be the answer. Once again, 2 and 1 here are meeting at a corner, they are adjacent, so choice C cannot be the answer. Obviously ABC gone, choice D should be the answer. And as we can see, 1, 2, these are in the alternate squares. So these are opposite each other. So D was the only option left. So we got choice D here as the correct answer. Open dice but sixth face divided. Now what does that mean? Well, look at this dice. This is the diagram of an open dice, but only 5 faces are visible here. That is number 1, number 3, number 2, number 4 and number 5. What happened to the sixth face? The sixth face has been divided into 4 parts, 4 triangles. So out of that, these 2 are shaded triangles opposite to each other. And let us say these 2 are unshaded or shaded gray, again opposite each other. So if we fold this sixth face, which has been divided into 4 different triangles, then which diagram will appear? Well, if you fold it, it will be folded on the top, because this is how you will fold it. How will you fold it below 5? You can't. So when you fold this here, in this direction, here, in this direction, here, in this direction, this here, in this direction, you will take this up to here. Take this up to the middle square, and you will have the sixth face on top of the face which is numbered 5. That is, the sixth face will be opposite the face containing number 5. Now, what will be the diagram that will be formed? This will be the diagram. As you close in on this, this will be the shaded region, as you can see, because this came here in this diagram, folded like this. Then this also will be folded, so this shall be shaded. And when you brought this here and brought this triangle here, these are unshaded, or let us say shaded gray, so they appear in front of each other, meeting at the center here. And number 5 is gone because it is gone to the bottom. And these 2 faces will be opposite each other. Which one? The sixth face that we formed by joining the 4 triangles. It came on the top and number 5 went at the bottom. So 5 is at the bottom. So we get this kind of a diagram at the top. Now out of all these given diagrams, which diagram can be formed? Let me just number them. Let me just name them as A, this is B, this is C, this is D, and this is E. Can we have a diagram like this after folding this open dice? Not possible, because we do not get such kind of a triangle, no. These 2 triangles should be facing each other here, as you can see, the shaded triangles, they're just touching each other at center. Their tips are touching each other at center. Here, their sides are touching each other. Now, that's not possible. So, definitely diagram A cannot be formed. Can we have diagram B? Well, this is correct because this is same as this diagram. And from 2, if we go to 3, it is in the clockwise direction. And from 2, if we move towards 3, yes, it is the clockwise direction. So, B is fine. Diagram B can be formed. Can diagram C be formed? This is okay, the sixth face is fine. But can 2 be adjacent to 4? Well, that's not possible. Why? Because 2 and 4 are in alternate squares. So they are opposite each other. And opposites cannot be seen together. So that's the reason why the diagram C has to be incorrect. Then can we have this diagram? This is fine. The top face is fine. The sixth face. Can 4 and 5 be adjacent? Yes, they can be. But can 5 and this diagram be adjacent, the sixth face? Well, that's not possible because 5 is at the bottom and the sixth face is at the top. The face with number 5 is at the bottom and the sixth face with these 4 triangles is at the top. So obviously these two are opposite each other. So they cannot be seen at the same time. They cannot be seen adjacent to each other. So that is the reason why diagram D is incorrect. Look at E. This is fine. The sixth face which is made at the top, you have brought it to the front. Then you get 3 and 4. Now is this fine? Well, 3 and 4, they meet each other at this corner. And from 3, if we have to go to 4, it is in the clockwise direction. And from 3, if we have to move towards 4, this is also in the clockwise direction. Absolutely fine. So, diagram E is fine. Now, this gives us an idea that out of the given diagrams, the diagram B and diagram E are the only ones which are correct. And the others are incorrect because of the reasons that we discussed. So, if at all, let us say, these 4 are given to you amongst the choices, and you're asked that if this open dice with sixth face divided is folded, then out of these 4 diagrams, which one will be made? Your answer here has to be choice B. Now that brings us to the end of the session. Now kindly make sure that you revise the 3 rules as well as the concepts based on open dice. We will meet again in the next session to discuss another topic which will be useful to crack questions in the CSAT examination. Till then, I wish you all the best. Please work hard and stay safe. Thank you so much.